Okay, what's going up, everybody? We are here. We're alive. I want to thank you all for joining me today. I believe that we're going to have a very good, interesting, and fun discussion surrounding Big Tigger. You know, the legend Big Tigger. You know, most of us, if not all of us, I know I did, grew up on Big Tigger, Rap City in the basement. But as Ayo Conseco, the big homie Ayo, said from the Big Facts podcast, I'm about to share this on my page because it is so sad how our legends fall. It is. It's very sad and it's very disappointing to constantly see, you know, people that we looked up to, that we idolized, or you just really, really liked, you know, constantly fall to the wayside and become puppets, you know, for this political system that keeps us as a people stuck in the rut that we're in. Torian Rain, shout out to Torian Rain Reloaded. He put a very interesting comment up about Big Ticket that I had no idea about. He said, I was over him when he said in a post that he was biracial. Since when is Jamaican and FBA biracial? That's a new one. I didn't I had no idea that Big Ticket said he was biracial, because he is half you know, Black American, and he is half Jamaican. But that definitely does not constitute you being biracial, you know. So that's very interesting. That's very interesting. But once again, you know, like I said, today's going to be a very good, interesting, and fun discussion. I want to thank you all for joining me. And before we dive too deep into today's show, what I'd like to do very quickly is make sure to direct you all to the new channel that I have with Rob called Just Talking. Most of you remember that me and Rob used to do Just Talking here on the main channel, but we've started our own channel together called Just Talking with TD and Rob. And I just want to take a moment to share that link for you in the live chat. And if you're watching a replay, I'll also make sure to leave the link in the comment section, pinned in the comment section. But let me just share the screen with you real quick so you can see what me and Rob got going on over there. We were supposed to go live today, actually, but, you know, things happen, life happens. So we're going to be rescheduling today's live stream for tomorrow. So Just Talking with me and Rob, we will be going live tomorrow. And here's the channel right here. It should be up in front of you right now. Let me make the screen a little bit bigger so you can see it more clearly. But that's our channel. You see, we got the little professional looking thumbnail up there. You know what I mean? A little professional looking banner. Doing our best to keep things as professional as possible. And let me play one of the videos for you, just so you can see some of the type of conversations that we get into. So I'll play some of this one for you right now. I won't play the whole thing. It's about 8 minutes long, maybe about 2-3 minutes, just so you get a little bit of a taste of you know, what me and Rob do on our new channel, Just Talking with TD and Rob. First, let me make sure to grab the link right here to the channel and post it in the live chat so that you all can subscribe to that channel if you have not already. And like I said, let me play a little bit of it so you get a little bit of a taste, a little bit of a preview of how me and Rob give it up. This video right here, let me pause it very quickly, was titled, or is titled, I should say, "Will Uganda fumble the bag and lose their 12 trillion in gold to China?" So let me play some of that for you right now while we allow some more people to come into the live stream and you get a little bit of a taste of what me and Rob got going on over here.
I genuinely hope that this
$12 trillion worth of gold that they found in Uganda. I genuinely hope that this is going to be some sort of a turning point for Uganda. You get what I'm saying? Well, they'll be able to parlay this into actually getting their, their country in order and lifting them up to at least being, a middle, not a third world nation, but like a middle world nation, if that makes sense. You know what I'm saying? Like just to kind of elevate them and like bring them up to some sort of reputable prominence in the world, you know? But at the same time, too, given the history of the continent of Africa and its leaders, I don't really have much faith that this is going to turn out the way it should turn out. You know what I mean? I don't know.
Have you heard about any of the contracts or any of how they plan on mining it?
No, well, I got a video for that. I'm sure you got some other information concerning that, but there's another video that I got that I want to play too. You know, where come on, man. Like, okay, so after this video, I'm gonna play the other one, right? Where whatever brother in Uganda that's kind of running things concerning, like, you know, having miners come in. Yeah. They already have Chinese miners there that were there about maybe 2 months before the news broke. I would assume they were already kind of privy to the information. You know what I mean? But there's some Chinese miners that have already established themselves like they're since March. And you're going to see in the video that I played, they're having this ceremony that was televised, you know, for the news and everything like that. And then the Ugandan brother, he's speaking, and he's like, I really hope that you honor your contract. And I'm like, what do you mean you really hope they honor? Like, I'm literally like kind of hoping and begging and pleading with you that you don't rip us off.
But please, respect yourselves, respect the terms of your contract, benefit as individuals, and make sure the expensive equipment is protected, so that, because if as a worker you develop some habit of not looking after equipment, you may think it is undergoing in suffering. No.
Okay, that meant he literally said, please respect the terms of your contract and then make sure that the equipment is okay. Like, the fact that you sign a contract and you now have to beg that they respect the terms of their contract is the biggest red flag. Right. Okay, so that's a little bit of what me and Rob got going on that channel. We talk about a lot of different things over there. So like I said, please make sure you head over to Just Talking with TD and Rob. I left the link to that channel in the live chat. And now we can get into today's video, right? We're going to get into what I really wanted to talk about. And what we're going to talk about is Big Tigger saying that he doesn't care about reparations. Now, I want to start with this, right? Because you have people, like I've talked about numerous times, like Charlemagne the God and Diddy, right? You have people like them who are clear, paid Democratic Party shills, right? It's very obvious, very clear as day that that is who they are. I don't believe that so much to be the case for Big Tigger. I don't think that he's important enough to be a paid Democratic shill, right? Kind of like Charlemagne and Diddy is. He's not relevant enough. And when I say that, I don't mean that in a demeaning way, like how people like to just say, oh, so-and-so's not relevant, just to throw them away. Big Tigger's doing his thing out here. He still has a lot going on. But in terms of popularity, he's not on the level of a Diddy or a Charlemagne. And I think that Tigger's situation is what I'm going to explain right now. And this is also an interesting kind of dynamic just for us as a community, as Black folks, to really think about, right? Now, let me pull this up. I recently started reading this book, or I should say the audio book. I started reading or listening to this audio book. And this book is titled, give me just a second. It was on my screen and now it's not there anymore. Of course, it's not showing. The book is titled Coming Apart, right? That's the main title. The book is titled Coming Apart. But the subtitle is What's Interesting. And the subtitle, if I remember, is Coming Apart, Whiteness in America from 1960 to 2010. The subtitle is that. And what's described in that book within the introduction, if I remember correctly, the author talked about this, you can say, thing, for lack of better words, that occurred within white society, where there's become a class separation between those who have and those who don't have. Now, I know that's not profound on the surface, but follow me for a second, right? What he was discussing was that how in the 50s and 60s, to become upper class, you didn't necessarily have to go to college, right? If you wanted to become upper class or upper middle class, that was something that was attainable without college. And because that was attainable without college, there was a sense of a cultural identity that the lower class and the upper middle class or even upper class all shared due to their shared experience as all of them coming from the bottom. You get what I'm saying? And so because they all come from the same place, they still share this kind of cultural camaraderie with one another because of where they come from, right? And another thing that was interesting too that he discussed in the introduction is that back then in the 50s and 60s, though one may become upper middle class or upper class, it wasn't a thing to show it, right? So in today's date, we'll say, if I can afford a Mercedes Benz, I wouldn't buy one. I would get a Toyota Camry solely because I don't want to feel like I'm showing out on my brothers and sisters who are a little bit less fortunate, right? And that's kind of the mindset that developed when you had a society in which people can become upper class or at least upper middle class without going to college. What the expansion of allowing pretty much anybody the ability to go to college does, right? What that essentially did, what he discussed in the book, was that upon going to college, a new type of culture is formed while in college. You could almost kind of say a bougie type culture that's formed while in college that separates them from the original culture that they come from, with them being from, you could say, the ghettos or the hoods or just humble beginnings, in which now when that separation happens, they no longer culturally identify with those at the bottom, right? They identify with those who they went to, with the culture that was created while they were in college. You understand what I'm saying? And that detachment from there begins. And I feel like this is also what's occurred within the Black community, right? Not I feel like, I know this is what has happened, right? And I feel that this is the area that Big Tigger falls into, right? When he says things like, I don't care about reparations. You see this in the Black community where those who went to college, right, and they join fraternities and become AKAs or Alpha Pi Psi, whatever all that stuff is called, there seems to have been also this cultural detachment from the common everyday Black man and woman, in which they now, for the most part, identify with one another as being their own separate group. You get what I'm saying? And that stood out to me like I don't know what the metaphor that I put on it, but it stuck out to me a lot when I think about this conversation that I had with a good friend of mine who is like a brother to me, right? He's 100% like a brother to me. We've been friends for 21, 22 years now. We met when we were 15. We're both 37 now. He'll be 38 in December. I didn't go to college, but my good friend did, right? And he did the whole spiel. He went to college, got the good job, right? He's making, good money, he's up there. I guess you could probably say upper middle class, maybe, you know what I mean? He currently lives in a neighborhood that's not easy to get into, financially speaking, especially now, given the current state of the economy. And also, what's interesting is that within his neighborhood, it's half and half for the most part. It's like 50% white, 50% Black. And within that neighborhood, there are some Black businesses as well. My friend is a Black man who's married to a black woman with 4 beautiful black daughters, right? And I'm just setting the kind of scenery for what I'm talking about here. In the conversation that me and him had about a year and a half ago, it was very eye-opening, because in that conversation, he seemed very detached from the day-to-day common Black American man and woman. In his world, as he was explaining to me, I'm successful, right? I'm around my other brothers and sisters that I went to college with who have become successful. You get what I'm saying? In his world, you know, his Black family is intact. He lives in a nice neighborhood where there are other Black families that are intact. And at this point, he's now living in this bubble that he's completely unintentionally has isolated himself from the rest of the Black world, to where when we were talking and having this conversation, you know, in his mind, Black folks are doing good, we're doing great, we're progressing, and everything is okay. Everything is fine, you know, for the most part. I shouldn't say everything is fine, but things are getting better. And what I was explaining to him is like, no, bro, like that's not what's going on over here on the ground level. You know, things aren't getting better. Everything's actually going backwards, right? Everything's actually moving in reverse. And I don't need to belabor the point too much, because you get where the conversation with me and my friend were going. But it was very interesting to see someone like himself, who is from the projects. You know, he's from Chicago. Originally from the projects. This is even a brother who went to the Nation of Islam elementary school in Chicago. I don't remember how long he went there, but he went there for, I don't know, maybe until he was about maybe 2nd or 3rd grade. So he wasn't there too long. So I say that to say he's not some brother that's just, he don't know what's going on out here, is my point. He's just lost and don't know nothing about nothing when it comes to his people. He's not that. But still for some reason found himself in a situation in which he was isolated in his own little bubble of Black progress, to where he kind of more or less really didn't have any clue what was actually going on with the Black world, right? So I say all that big long story to say that I think that that's kind of the situation with Big Tigger. You know, in this particular situation concerning him, I don't know if he went to college or not, but you can enter that bubble the moment you become part of the, you know, elite class of Black society, you know. And now my friend who I was speaking of, he's not part of the elite class of Black society. He's just a common, you know, man, just like you and me, but he's in a different tax bracket. Yeah, but when you're talking about Big Tigger, you're talking about somebody who's rich, who's a legend. He is somebody who is in that 1% of the Black elite that you see on TV and is a mainstream person, right? So even without college, if you enter into that kind of stratosphere, that bubble, you're then now completely separated and without conscious of what's going on within the Black community. Another thing as well that I want to say, I'm glad that I remembered this point before I move on. One of the things that you'll notice with our brothers and sisters that have gone to college, right, and become AKAs and join these Greek fraternities and all that kind of stuff, when that cultural detachment happens, one thing that I've always noticed is that they tend to use being from where we're from and being from the hood as a guard, as a shield. Have you ever noticed that? Whenever you make an attempt to criticize them for whatever the reason being, right? They'll sit and tell you, I'm from the hood too. I'm from the same place you came from. I'm from the hood too. And it's like putting up a guard, it's like putting up a shield to say, culturally, I come from the same place that you come from. So don't judge me. Don't say nothing about me. You get what I'm saying? They don't mean it from the standpoint of, you know, camaraderie and that we're still all in this together. It's kind of used, like I said, as a shield and a guard to block you from criticizing them in any way, shape, form, or fashion. But now with that, let's get into what Big Tigger actually was talking about and what he said. I want to go through some of Big Tigger's tweets, right? So let's go down that road and go through some of his tweets. Give me just a second while I pull this stuff up. And we're just going to take a moment to go through some of his tweets so we see how all this came about. Because like I said, he's living in his own bubble, in his own black world of success, of black success, of quote black excellence, where they've all already died and gone to heaven. So when you start talking about reparations, that doesn't even compute to them. They don't know what you're talking about, right? It doesn't compute at all, you know? So here's how this all started. Okay, now let's get this back on the screen. So here's how this all started, right? And this was a funny tweet that somebody added Big Tigger and said. Big Tigger said, end of the day, y'all do what you think is best for you and your household and community. And Poppy, shout out to Poppy, said, Ninja, speak on reparations or shut up. And from that point on, that's when the madness began, because Big Tigger then responds to Poppy and tells him, you know, y'all still calling people N-words and attacking for a different opinion. Y'all real progressive and for the advancement of black people, right? So then the ghost of Malcolm responds to Big Tigger and says, you dancing around the subject. If it's reparations or no vote, y'all think we trolls, but it's going to be real come November. Big Tigger then responds, no dancing. I said, do you? Good luck. The ghost of Malcolm responds, so you want to be black when convenient and separate when it's about reparations. This is exactly what's wrong. You in the media speaking for black men, all while being against the group. That's treacherous, sir. And then Big Tigger goes on to respond, and this is the landmine that he detonated. You sound crazy. I don't care about reparations. If I got any, and I would be entitled, as my father was born in America, I'd probably donate mine to a worthy cause. But that's me. Y'all do you. No need to respond anymore. I am a proud black man of mixed heritage. And for those of you who don't know, he's half Jamaican. Big Tigger is half Jamaican, right? So then the man goes on to say, because the conversation goes on more and more, right? He goes on to say, okay, then, black man, what's your black agenda? So it's no confusion. And then from that point on, oh, no. I'm jumping the gun. Let's get over to this part right here. In a separate conversation, Big Tigger goes on to say, for all you woke people here, oh, this is the part that's important. This is something that I found interesting that Big Tigger said, right? And it goes to show how detached that he is from the black community, because he goes on and says something completely ridiculous. For all you woke people here are the options. Pick a side or say nothing and have no say at all. If you choose the latter, don't be mad later. Matter of fact, if you choose not to participate or vote, might as well move to another country that you believe has better politics. That was very interesting choice of words that Big Tigger used, because those are white supremacist talking points. Big Tigger literally told black Americans, if you don't like how things are going here, then why don't you leave the country, right? This is something that black Americans have been hearing for centuries now at this point, right? Or decades, if not over a century. If you don't like it here, why don't you leave? Why don't you go back to Africa then? If you don't like the politics, if you have any critiques, if you have anything to say, then why don't you just leave then? Big Tigger is literally using white supremacist talking points. And I don't even think he realized that's what he's doing at this point, but that's what he's doing. And that's what's really sad. Let's carry on with this discussion with what Big Tigger was saying in just a moment. Right? So now from here, that triggers a whole nother set of, oops. Let me go back to that. So now from here, after he says this, obviously people respond and they're upset. They don't like what he says. But here's where Big Tigger starts losing me, right? Give me a second while I scroll down some more. It appears that when I refreshed the page, the comment that I was looking for disappeared. But ultimately, what happened is that upon that statement, Big Tigger then started getting obviously a lot of backlash. And what he starts doing from that point on is stressing the fact that he's not a Democrat. And I don't care who you vote for as long as you vote. And that was the point that he kept trying to make throughout his Twitter conversations with people. Just go vote. Just go vote. I don't care who you vote for. Just go vote. And that's something that a lot of Black celebrities do to save face, to make themselves look like they're not vote blue no matter who, right? When they really are. But they do that to save face so that you can't pin on them that, hey, you just want us to go vote for the Democratic Party. You just want us to go do this and not even think or consider our other options, if those other options exist, and how we should explore them. Another thing that Big Tigger was saying as well is that he was challenging other Black folks, asking them, well, if you have all this smoke, where's your plan? What do you plan to do, right? What's our plan? And for somebody to have a platform as big as Big Tigger's platform is, and to be asking what the plan is, to me, that's just another red flag as well. Because how do you have a platform that big, right? And you're talking politics, but then when other people challenge you, you start saying, well, what's the plan? Shouldn't you know what the plan is? And if you don't know what the plan is, why are you talking politics, right? If you don't have a plan, why are you speaking politics at all? Just play music, bro, right? Give me a second. Let me drink this, because I'm getting hot. But just be on your Atlanta radio station and just play your rap music. You understand what I'm saying? And don't worry about politics. Give me a second. Let me pull this other clip up for you. Not clip, but this other tweet. So Big Tigger says, and for the record, I block anyone who doesn't talk to me with respect. People got in their feelings because I said vote or don't complain. That deserves being attacked. Some people rationally spoke, and I responded, I still stand on my statement. Not voting doesn't cure anything. And to that, this gentleman, Cool Ramos, responded, we are tired of being on a hamster wheel. We have been voting for 60 years. We are not dumb people. We are not dumb people. This stuff is rigged. So now, what Cool Ram is talking about when he said we've been on this hamster wheel for 60 years, he's talking about being on the Democratic Party hamster wheel. And I know he's talking about that because I clicked on his profile, and just by going through his profile and looking at the people that he retweeted, the videos that he puts up, this is what he's talking about. He's talking about what many of us have talked about and what I've discussed in length numerous times on this channel. Black Americans have been voting blue no matter who, to the tune of about 85 to 90%, literally for 58 years now. And in 58 years, you can't show me the positive results from it. In 58 years, the median net worth of Black Americans is now heading on its way to zero. In 58 years of voting blue, no matter who, you're about to be fourth on the U.S. population list. And like Dr. Claude Anderson said, if you weren't able to get anything when you're number 2, you can guess what you're going to get from pot of politics when you're number 4, right? And after this gentleman said this to Big Tigger, this is how Big Tigger chose to respond. Big Tigger went on to say this. Again, you said it. 60 years, still no plan? Black people less unified than generations before us. Non-existent levels of trust in our own community. I'm here for us to do better and get what's long overdue. What's the plan? Now, once again, like I was saying before, he's going back to this whole thing about asking other Black Americans, what's the plan? How is it that you have a platform as big as you do, but you have no political sense at all whatsoever to where you have a plan, right? what's your plan, Big Tigger? And I don't expect him to have a plan, but I do expect him to be able to repeat the plan of somebody else, right? The plan of another political figure who is competent that he aligns himself with. But that's the thing. He's not aligning himself with anybody. He's pretending to not align himself with anybody. He's pretending to be a neutral party when he's not a neutral party. He's far from that. He's vote blue no matter who. And I'm going to prove that to you in just a moment, right? Let me go back into some more of these tweets now. So the ghost of Malcolm responds, the plan is cash reparations for foundational Black Americans. And then white supremacy notification stated that this goofy Big Tigger must be a paid influencer or is going to receive some quid pro quo. He just showed up out of nowhere. The agenda is, number one, cash reparations. Number two, anti-Black hate crime bill. Number three, protected class status for descendants of USA freedmen, and end qualified immunity. So this is what white supremacy notifications stated as, this is the plan, right? Here's our plan. This is the plan. And to that, Big Tigger responds with this. Big Tigger says, again, the need to attack people before you educate. This is a list of goals. What's the plan? If voting doesn't help, in your opinion, how do we reach these goals that every Black person would like to see happen? Angry tweets and name calling does nothing. So he keeps trying to circle back to this. What's the plan? What's the plan? What's the plan? And as I see, Slauson Girl stated, the goal is the plan. The goal that he laid out is the Black agenda. Now it's just a matter of executing that Black agenda. And how do you execute that Black agenda? You go about it in the way that Ice Cube did. You put your Black agenda together and then you shop it around, right? You go back and forth between the Democrats and Republicans to see who bites. And at that point on, whoever is willing to implement your agenda and put it into their plan of action once they get into office, that's who you choose to vote for. You see, that's the plan. You see how simple that was? That was very basic. That was very easy. Having a plan is not a hard thing to do. I just laid the plan out to you as clear as day, right? Alongside with the Black agenda that I believe white supremacy notifications tweeted out, if we were going to use that as a Black agenda. It's a very simple thing, but he's playing stupid because that's, like I said, that's what a lot of Black celebrities do. They like to play dumb and pretend that they're not on any side. They like to play dumb and pretend that, hey, I don't have all the answers either. I'm just out here, doing the best that I can to make sure that I can advance things for Black folks, when that's not really true. Big Tigger doesn't really care about Black Americans like that. Like I said, he lives in his own Black excellence bubble, right? Of that elite Black group, right? When you're talking about the Diddy's and the Charlemagne's of the world, where they're completely detached from regular day-to-day Black folks. In their minds, just continuing to vote blue no matter who is the only thing that we need to do to advance and get the kind of progress that we're looking for, because in their world, they voted blue no matter who, and they've progressed individually to become part of this 1%. And since they were able to become a part of this 1% themselves while voting blue no matter who, and never thinking about even entertaining anything or anybody else outside of that, they then continue to believe that this is the means forward that we have to take. Now, going back to my friend that I spoke on earlier, he is also somebody vote blue no matter who. That's just the reality of it, right? They love them some Kamala Harris in his household. Love Kamala. Anytime I put up a video about Kamala Harris, my friend will send me a text message saying, I see you hating again. It'll send me something funny to that extent. But that's kind of if I'm using this word correctly, that's kind of the paradox that we're in as a community, is that you see the successful, right, Black Americans in our community that have gone to college and they join these fraternities and they form a culture while in college that detaches them from the mainstream everyday Black culture. or they find success in entertainment like Big Tigger and get blasted off into the 1% of Black Americans, you know, because they were able to attain these things while being under the delusion that just simply religiously voting Democrat is a good thing, it then becomes almost impossible to get them to see the reality of it. And the reason it becomes almost impossible to get them to see the reality of how negatively it has impacted us, this whole vote blue no matter who thing, because they don't see it. I lost my train of thought. I lost my train of thought. But I think that where I was going with it is that because they're unable to see it, it becomes almost impossible to reverse their thinking, right? They've spent their whole lives under the delusion that if Black folks just keep putting these Democrats in office and we just keep religiously supporting them no matter what, somehow this leads to progress. Along the way, they as individuals were able to progress forward and become successful in whatever way they became successful. If that is then the case for this very small, minute group of Black folks, right, who hold all the power within the Black community because they hold, you know, the resources, whatever little bit of resources that do exist within the Black community concerning money and power amongst our group, you know, if they've been conducting themselves in this way their whole life and they become successful doing so, how do you tell them anything otherwise? How do you tell them, you know, hey, Joe Biden this, hey, Kamala Harris that? Many of you have struggled within your own households, right, to convince your parents and your relatives and brothers and sisters and people that you know that voting blue no matter who isn't the way. The last election was probably the best example of it. When you were sharing, I'm sure you were sharing a whole bunch of videos about how horrible Joe Biden is and all of the horrible things that he's done to the Black community and so on and so forth. And your own family members, some of your friends, they didn't care. It didn't matter what you showed them, you know, it didn't matter at all. And it's a very unfortunate and sad thing to see, you know, when you have a group of people within our community, and which is a large group, because it's not just, if we're being honest, it's not just the successful. It's not just the successful. I'm focusing on the successful aspect of Black Americans because I'm talking about Big Tigger, you know, but overall, you know, clearly Black Americans as a whole are stuck on this vote blue no matter who thing. So like I said, it's not just a rich elite Black American thing. It's a problem that we have overall just within the community as a whole. But when you have people of the likes of a Big Tigger that keep Black folks stuck on voting blue no matter who, and you have other folks that are successful within the Black community that also keep our people stuck on vote blue no matter who, the impact that they have is so great because they're the ones that are successful, right? In comparison to somebody like myself, me personally, I'm successful in my own right, but I'm not comparable. I'm not successful in comparison to Big Tigger, right? Or if you want to match bank accounts to my friend that I was talking about earlier, if we're doing that, I'm not successful, right? But in my own right, I wake up every morning, I do what I want to do, and I work for myself, so I'm successful. But when people look at me in comparison to these other folks that I'm talking about, they look at me and say, you don't got nothing going on. These are the successful people. So if they're saying, keep going down this path, right, of just blindly religiously voting Democrat, they're going to follow that. Because if they were able to attain the success that they were able to attain while doing this, then the belief is that the Black community as a whole will be able to attain that as well. But that simply isn't the case. And there's no evidence that proves that. The evidence actually proves the opposite, right? Because we're actually going backwards. That's what's happening right now. Now, I got a couple more tweets that I want to pull up for you. Then we're going to go ahead and shut this thing down. Give me just a second while I pull up some more of these tweets. Now, I just want to prove the fact. Oh, I didn't finish reading some of this. Okay. So Ant Walker replied to Big Tigger, I feel like you're doing the deflecting. I feel like you're doing this deflecting on purpose, right? These are the tangibles we want And if the Democrats are not willing to give it to us, we won't vote for them. It's really that simple, bro. I'm going to repeat that again. Aunt Walker said, I feel like you're doing this deflecting on purpose. These are the tangibles we want. And if the Democrats are not willing to give it to us, we won't vote for them. It's really that simple. Big Tigger responds, you keep focusing on Dems. I'm not advocating for the Dems. I'm advocating for voting, period. That's such a cop-out. What does that mean? Vote, period. What really think about that? What does that mean if I got up here and I just told you, just go vote? Vote for who? Vote for what? What are you talking about? Why? What's the plan, as Big Tigger said, right? What's the plan? Vote to get what? That doesn't make any logical sense to just sit up there and be disingenuous and say, I'm not telling you to vote for the Democrats. I'm just telling you go vote. So if you're not telling me to just go vote for the Democrats, but you're saying go vote, you're telling me to vote for Republicans? And of course, Big Tigger would be opposed to that. And I believe in the next following coming up tweets, you're going to see that. I believe, if I have my tweets saved up correctly. So Aunt Walker responds, Democrats are the party that Black people have been voting for 5 decades. So that's why I'm focused on them. They haven't given Black people anything for voting for them, while other groups have gotten many tangibles from them. And let's move backwards a little bit more. And then, I guess that was the end of that. But once again, Aunt Walker echoes the sentiments that we all have, that Black folks have been voting blue no matter who for 5 decades now. We don't have anything to show for it. And Big Tigger ignores all of this, right? He pretends as if he understands where this brother is coming from, while in the same breath, refusing to actually practice, in my opinion, what I call smart politics. And smart politics, in my opinion, is I'm not loyal to any party, right? Now, Big Tigger says he's not loyal to any party, but that's not true. I'm not loyal to any party. I'm loyal to who's willing to implement the Black agenda that we have laid out and laid forward. And if somebody's willing to implement that into their plan, their political plan, then I'll vote for them. But that's not what Big Tigger is about. And I'm going to show you guys what he's about. He's about this, right? He's about hosting events with Stacey Abrams to get Black men and to convince them to go out and vote. Let me see if I can play this. I'm not going to play the audio because there's music playing in the background, and that gets real funny on YouTube, right? But give me just a second. Let me put this clip up because I think I'm still showing myself, and you don't need to look at me right now. Okay. So in this video here, you see Big Tigger being used by the Democratic Party in order to convince Black men to come out and vote for Stacey Abrams. This is a promo video, which is meant to show that, hey, Democrats, we care about Black men too. Hey, Stacey Abrams cares about Black men too. And this was hosted by Big Tigger. And from my understanding, this was hosted at a cigar shop, right? A very upper class cigar shop with a lot of knockoff Kevin Samuels inside of there. And the reason that that's relevant is that goes back to what I was saying at the very beginning of the video, of this video, concerning the detachment, right? The cultural detachment that many successful Black Americans have to the larger Black population. If you're actually trying to reach out to Black men, Stacey Abrams, right? And for Big Tigger, if the point of hosting an event with Stacey Abrams is to show and convince Black men, hey, we need to be on board with this, why would you host an event like this at an expensive cigar shop, an expensive cigar and like wine shop that the common Black man can't go to? The common black man can afford nothing in there. You're not going to find the common black man up in there puffing on cigars and sipping wine. But that's where they chose to have this event at with Stacey Abrams, in which she's supposed to be speaking to black men. What they were supposed to do is go to, as you know, a lot of young kids would say, the trenches. That's where they were supposed to go. They were supposed to bring Stacey Abrams to the hood to actually talk to where black men are, right? Come to the streets. But that's not what Big Tigger and Stacey Abrams chose to do. They chose to go to an overpriced, expensive cigar and wine shop in order for them to apparently have this great conversation with black men and convince black men why they need to vote for Stacey Abrams and why they need to be on board the Democratic Party. Now, once again, Big Tigger will deny that he's a vote blue no matter who guy, but he is. During the election, Big Tigger interviewed Joe Biden here on, I guess, V103 is the radio station that he's a part of. Joe Biden shares his platform for president with Big Tigger. Now, I'm not going to play the audio of the interview. I think they have it right here at the bottom. But you have to understand, in order for, I'll put the camera back on me for a second. We don't have to look at Joe Biden. I think I look a little bit better than Joe Biden. But you have to understand, for Big Tigger to even have an opportunity, for him to have an opportunity to interview Joe Biden, they have to already know that he's safe. They know he's safe already. They know that he's not going to ask any far left or far right questions, right? They know that he's going to fall in line. They know that he has is fully dedicated to the mindset of voting blue no matter who. Because if they didn't know that, they wouldn't bring him on there. That's why you don't see Joe Biden accidentally going on a podcast with the Black Authority. Like, that's not going to happen, right? He's not going to accidentally find himself on a podcast, you know, with Professor Black Truth. It's just not going to happen. You're not going to see Joe Biden accidentally fall into that stuff. You get what I'm saying? But the reason that he found himself on Big Tigger's radio show is because, like I said, they know he's safe. They know he's on board and he has fully bought in to this mindset of voting blue no matter who. Now, here's the icing on the cake, and then we're going to end this this live stream off. Because when I saw this, I nearly fell out of my seat. And this is how I 100% knew that Big Tigger is just, you know, he's gone, right? He's not with us like that. Let me take the camera off me for a second, and let me go back to the screen that I'm going to show you, right? Now, this is how I knew Big Tigger was gone. This is his Facebook, right? Look at the caption here. He uploaded the video of Biden officially being announced as president of the United States. And Big Tigger responds on November 7th of 2020. We did it. We did it, Joe. We did it. Who is we? We did it. All right, Big Tigger, you know, we did it. You got Joe Biden in office. Mood ASF. If you know what that means, mood ASF mean, if I'm not mistaken, mood as FUCK, right? Congrats, Joe Biden and Kamala Harris. Historic first Black vice president, first female vice president. So Big Tigger seems to be one of these guys that got caught up in the whole, you know, my vice president is Black, you know, nonsense. This notion that we needed a Black female vice president for whatever the reason that we needed that for. We needed a Black female vice president more than we needed concrete transformative legislation, apparently to Big Tigger, you know? So he fully bought into that, hence the first Black vice president, first female vice president. I'm looking at some of the comments right now. Shout out to Ryan Glenn. Ryan Glenn, let me pull that comment up on the screen. Let me pull up what Ryan said on the screen. We sick, boss. We sick. We sick. We did it. We got Biden in office. We did it. And that's pretty much all you need to know right there. That comment from Ryan Glenn really caps off this live stream. We sick, boss. And unfortunately, that's become Big Tigger, the legend. And I still acknowledge him as that, right? I grew up on Big Tigger. Like I said, most of you all did grow up on Big Tigger. And politics aside, you know, when it comes to Rap City, the basement, and all that good stuff, you know, yeah, he's a legend and he did his thing and he provided a lot of great memories. My friend that I talked about in the beginning of this video, that's all me and him did growing up. I would always be at my friend's house, the brother that I talked about in the beginning of the video, and we'd be in his basement, you know, sitting on the couch in his basement, watching Rap City all day. You know what I'm saying? Watching Rap City and talking about whatever we were talking about back when we were 15, 16, and 17, and 18, right? Watching Rap City. So, you know, he's still a legend in that regards, and I'll give him that respect. But when it comes to these politics, man, nah, fam. I can't rock with the brother. I can't rock with him at all. He's a clear vote blue no matter who guy. He's clearly somebody that's dedicated to keeping us on the Democratic Party plantation. And, you know, when I say these things concerning Democratic Party plantation and vote blue no matter who, if you're watching me for the first time, you know, or if you're catching me just right now in the middle of the live stream, you might get me confused and think to yourself, oh, you must be some sort of right wing, one of those black conservatives, right wing blacks, right? And I'm not, you know, I'm neither. Unlike Big Tigger, I'm genuinely in the center, right? My vote is for sale. My vote literally goes to the highest bidder. My vote literally goes to who is actually going to implement concrete transformative legislation for Black America. But what I do think that moving forward, we have to do a better job at is, you know, identifying not just simply what a Black agenda is and what that is, because there's many people that do have Black agendas, right? There's many people that do, like Ice Cube. But making sure that we get behind those that have a legitimate Black agenda and make sure that they're doing it the right way, the way Ice Cube did by presenting it to both sides. Racism, white supremacy is, like my boy, like my good friend Rob always says, is a bipartisan sport, right? Republicans, Democrats, they all participate in it, right? So that's not something that you're going to get around. They're all racist. That's understood. That doesn't mean that, though, that doesn't mean you can't get something out of this whole political game, right? Doesn't mean you can't. You just have to play it properly. And if you're actually in the center to which your vote is for sale and you're shopping around your Black agenda, whatever the organizations may be that do this, right? Because this is something that should also be happening locally as well. You know, you shop around to the highest bidder, and whoever's willing to implement it, that's who you vote for. It's that simple. I'm actually in the center like that. Big Tigger isn't. He's not at all. So with all that being said, that does it for today's show. I want to thank you all for joining me today. Once again, please, I'm saying once again, but I didn't tell you this the first time. Please make sure you hit the like button. Give me a second. My throat is dry. Oh my God. Yeah, like Rain Love said, same coin, different side. That's all it is. But please make sure you hit the like button if you haven't already. Hit the thumbs up. Please get the thumbs up. And also, if you haven't already, make sure you are subscribed to my new channel with Rob called Just Talking with TD and Rob. I'll pull that up for you one more time. If you haven't already, please make sure you subscribe over there. That's the new channel that me and Rob have created that has spawned out of the original Just Talking show that we had on this channel. We started our own channel together called Just Talking with TD and Rob. Like I said, here goes the live stream that is scheduled for tomorrow. So when you come to the YouTube channel, hit the notify me button so that you'll be notified when me and Rob go live tomorrow morning on this channel, not this channel, but on our new channel at 11:30 a.m. Pacific Standard Time. Excuse me, a motorcycle went by at 11:30 a.m. Pacific Standard Time, and that which is 2:30 p.m. Eastern time, Eastern Standard Time, if I'm saying that correctly. All right, me and Rob will be going live, doing our podcast on that channel tomorrow. and I will leave the link to our YouTube channel in the live chat for you to click on and to subscribe to that channel. So with all that being said, thank you all for joining me today. If you're new to the channel, please hit the subscribe button and also hit the bell notification next to the subscribe button so you can be notified whenever I release a new video. Also, make sure that you show love on the Patreon as well. And one of the perks from being on Patreon is that once the live stream goes off with me and Rob every Thursday, because we normally do it every Thursday, but like I said, this past Thursday or this today, life happened and we weren't able to do the show today, but we're going to do it tomorrow. But what happens is that after the show goes off, you will only be able to see the full live stream in its entirety if you are a member of Patreon or if you're a channel member on this channel. If you're not a member on Patreon, or if you're not a channel member on this channel, you will not be able to see the full live stream of just talking with TD and Rob in its entirety. You will only be able to see it in selected pieces and clips that get uploaded to the YouTube channel. So that is one of the perks of being on Patreon. And I will also be starting a new Patreon exclusive show very soon, I believe starting next week, called Morning Coffee. And on that show, it'll be a call-in show where you could all call up and we could all discuss some of the things that are going on in the world today. One of the things that I look forward to discussing next week on Morning Coffee on Patreon is the robbery that took place of the brother that robbed the pastor or the deacon, whatever he was, right? I'm sure a lot of you seen that already. You know, the pastor that wears $400,000 worth of jewelry, he got robbed. I'm looking forward to having that discussion with you guys live with the Patreon members and channel members next week. So with all that being said, thank you all for joining me. And until the next video, peace. I'm trying to hold my face like this because the stream isn't ending yet. There it goes. Wait, having trouble connecting? Please check your internet connection. I try ending the stream. It won't let me end the stream. Y'all see how I was holding my face there, like waiting for it to end. It didn't go off. Let me try to end the stream again. Give me a second. Peace. Y'all get out of here.